Have you ever been in a moment so important, so life-changing, you just wished time would stop? Well, according to the Bible, there was a day when that actually happened. The sun literally stood still in the sky. No joke. It happened during a battle, a huge one. And at the center of it all, a man named Joshua, and a prayer so bold it shook the heavens. Today we're diving into one of the Bible's most jaw-dropping war stories where courage, faith, and divine power collide in the middle of a desert battlefield. Let's rewind the clock. Joshua is leading the Israelites, a people who just escaped slavery in Egypt and are now entering the land God promised to their ancestors. They're not tourists. They're warriors now, taking city after city, trusting that God is leading the way. And here's where things get interesting. A nearby city called Gibeon sees what's happening. They realize Joshua and his people mean business. So instead of fighting, the Gibeonites come up with a clever plan. They pretend to be travelers from far away, wear worn-out clothes, carry moldy bread, and beg Joshua to make a peace treaty. Joshua and the leaders fall for it. They agree not to attack. And just like that, Gibeon becomes an ally. But this peace deal doesn't sit well with the other local kings, especially a guy named Adoni-Zedek, the king of Jerusalem. Because if Gibeon, the strongest city around, has sided with Israel, what chance do the rest of them have? So he calls for backup. Let's form a 5-king alliance, he says. We'll crush Gibeon before they can help the Israelites. So the 5 kings, real powerful guys from nearby cities like Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, they all march on Gibeon. They surround the city, ready to attack. The people of Gibeon panic. They send messengers racing to Joshua, who's camped out in a place called Gilgal. And their message is clear. Don't abandon us. You made a promise. Come help us now. Now, Joshua could have said, well, technically, you tricked us into that treaty. But he doesn't. Instead, he gears up. Overnight, he and his army march about 20 miles uphill to reach Gibeon by morning. It's exhausting, but they're fueled by purpose. And here's the twist. Before the battle even starts, God speaks to Joshua. Don't be afraid of them, he says. I've already handed them over to you. Not one of them will stand against you. The sun rises and the 5 kings think they have the upper hand. But they weren't expecting Joshua. Out of nowhere, the Israelite army charges in. Surprised, the 5 kings and their armies panic. They break formation, they run. And here's where it gets wild. As they're fleeing, the Bible says God himself throws large hailstones from the sky, massive chunks of ice raining down from the heavens. And more enemies die from the hailstones than from Israelite swords. This is no ordinary battle. It's as if heaven itself is fighting. Now here's the part that made history. Joshua sees the enemy scattered. He knows victory is close. But there's a problem. The sun is starting to go down. And once darkness falls, the remaining enemies will escape. They'll regroup. The chance to end this battle today will be lost. So Joshua does something insane, something no one's ever tried before. Prays aloud in front of everyone and says this. Sun, stand still over Gibeon. Moon, stay in place over the valley of Ajalon. That's it. He tells the sun to stop. And according to the Bible, it does. The sun stops moving. Time freezes. It stays daylight long enough for Joshua's army to finish what they started. The battle ends in total victory. And the Bible puts it this way. There's never been a day like it before or since a day when the Lord listened to a human being like that. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. After the battle, the 5 kings are found hiding in a cave. Joshua has them brought out and executed not out of cruelty, but as a clear message to the remaining enemies. This land belongs to the people God promised it to, and God himself is backing them. From there, Joshua and his army continue conquering the land, one city at a time. But the day the sun stood still, that day became legend. A story passed down from generation to generation, a moment when one man's faith collided with God's power, and time itself had to pause. Okay, let's take a step back. Whether you see this as history, poetry, or miracle, the point of the story is powerful. Joshua didn't pray a safe prayer. He didn't say, God, maybe, if you want, possibly, help us a little. Nope, he said, son, stop. He believed in a big God, so he prayed a big prayer. And what's wild is God listened. And maybe not in a way we always understand, but the message is clear. Bold faith moves mountains. Even time itself isn't off limits when heaven is involved. So what does that mean for us? It means we don't have to be afraid to ask God for the impossible. It means that courage, obedience, and faith, even in the middle of a battle, can bring about moments we never imagined. It also means sometimes it's not about how strong we are. It's about how much we trust who is fighting with us. Thanks for joining us for the story of Joshua and the day the sun stood still. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more lesser-known Bible stories that are just as wild, inspiring, and human, stick around. It's a whole book full of them. Until next time, be bold, pray big. Remember, you never know what can happen when faith meets the impossible.